Today's video is all about packaging. The theme of my jewellery is nature inspired, rustic, organic, and it's really important to me that my packaging reflects that theme. I think there's 4 important things to consider when you're thinking about your packaging. The first one is customer experience. I think for me it's really important that when the customer receives the package that they're really delighted when they open it and see how the item is wrapped. The second one is that it needs to be environmentally friendly, so as little plastic as possible, and use recycled where possible. The third one is that it needs to be economical, so I don't want to spend an awful lot on the packaging because otherwise I've got to pass that cost on to the customer. And then the fourth one is about the postage, so you don't want to spend too much on the postage because again you've got to pass that to the customer. So all of my packages, or most of my packages, I can send them first class large letter internationally and nationally, which is good, so it keeps the cost down. So these are some of the materials that I use for my packaging. The outer packaging is stiff brown paper. I buy this in bulk. Always buy in bulk to save money, so I buy dozens of these at a time, packages of card, or I recycle. So this is the inside of a wrapping paper tube. You know, when you buy wrapping paper there's always a roll of brown card in the middle. Then inside that I've got tissue paper, and again recycle where possible. Sometimes when you get a bunch of flowers they'll be wrapped in tissue paper, so I would snaffle that and reuse it. Or I buy in bulk florist tissue paper. I've got 2 colours here, green and brown, which is again in keeping with my theme, my jewellery theme, and I cut that into small usable size pieces. And then other items that I need to have to hand are, I keep them all in this wicker basket. So I've got brown craft stickers which I've hand stamped. I've got my tissue paper cut up into usable size pieces. I've got my stamps, which I'll talk more about in a minute. Good old string, again all in keeping with the colour, green string, green ink, more stamps, and these are the labels that I put on each package, hand stamped, which I'll show you in a minute. I keep those in a little handmade crochet pot. So years ago when I first started making jewellery, I had this custom stamp made. I think it cost about £35, and it just says thank you and my Etsy website address on the bottom with a nice tree in the middle. So I use this to make my labels. I've got some sagey green ink and my brown cards. And then I've got this circle hole punch, which I use to punch out the labels. And then with a normal hole punch, just cut a hole for the string. So when I do these, I do a whole batch at a time, and I keep them in this little crochet pot ready to use. When this custom stamp arrived, they sent a little free stamp with it, which is the tree in the middle, a smaller version of the tree in the middle. So I use this to stamp. I need little sticky labels as part of my packaging, so I use this to stamp trees on them. And again, I buy them in bulk, keeps the cost down. And so then I thought it would be really nice actually to have my outer wrapping all covered in trees, like this, but obviously this is so tiny it used to take me ages to stamp out enough trees to cover a large piece of paper. So I contacted the company and asked them to make me another bespoke stamp, which is basically the tree 5 times on one stamp, which is absolutely perfect. So I use this to make the to cover the paper, and then fill in any gaps with that one. So this is brown thick paper that I buy in bulk. and 5 at a time covers the paper quite quickly. So that's A4 paper, but here's an example of the inside of some wrapping paper, this roll of brown card, so I've covered the whole thing in trees. And that'll keep me going for quite a few bits of jewellery. So with every item of jewellery in the envelope, I put 2 little slips of paper which I print myself. So the first one is basically saying thank you for your purchase, I hope you like it. Please can you find time to leave me feedback because it helps me to grow my business. And then there's some email list stuff at the bottom. And then the other one is just some notes about taking care of the jewellery, how to keep it polished and how to store it and so on. So I print these off in bulk, cut them into 4, and every package gets 1 of each in them. So again, as I said, the envelopes I buy in bulk, and then I've got this very cheap do-it-yourself stamp marker thing, and I've set it up with my address, and I go through every envelope and just make sure it's got my return address on the back. And I print all my postage labels with this nifty little Brother printer, which is wireless, a little label printer. Etsy makes it really easy to just cut and paste your addresses into the Brother software. So I'm going to show you how I wrap a piece of jewellery. These are a couple of linked bangles that I've made. And then I'm going to use one of my pre-stamped labels there. And then I take a piece of the pre-stamped paper, and I might use another label there. And then lastly, I tie it up with some green jute string. And then attach one of my pre-printed tags. And that's the finished package. I think that's lovely. It's rustic, it's environmentally friendly, in keeping with the theme of my jewellery. And that then goes into my jiffy bag with the 2 inserts.